James Robinson put up nearly 18 fantasy points last week, his best output since week 10. So America's team now visits the Jets. This is the Jaguars. So chase or fade, you should continue to ride the James Robinson redemption train, Pearce.
I will chase the James Robinson matchup train. I'm going to fade this redemption train. Urban Meyer wasn't the problem. I'm sorry. Did you watch that game last week? They lost decisively to the Texans. He wasn't the problem. But James Robinson, at this price, in this matchup, he should be fine. 4.7 yards per carry. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. And as we expected, we saw his snap rate go up to 81%. So, yeah, there was a little bit of an Urban Meyer effect there. But what's really driving the choice is the price and the matchup.
Okay, so he's $5,900 here, Steve. Jets ranked dead last in fantasy points allowed to running backs.
Yeah, they're absolutely horrible, right? But, you know, Robinson was like the uber chalk last week, and you easily could have faded him, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. 17.8 DraftKings fantasy points at 5,400. Sure, it was a nice output for him at the salary that he was at, but it's not like this was this smash game that he had. And then they're playing from behind against the Texans. He draws 6 targets. Like, who eats the targets on this team? There's nobody to throw to. And Robinson could only manage 6 targets last week, caught 3 of them for a whopping 13 yards. Great, thanks. If he didn't make the end zone, he would have been one of the biggest chalk busts of the season. So if you want to take somebody in this game, go with Laquan Treadwell, who's through 3,500. He's getting nearly double-digit targets in 3 weeks now. Like, that's been the target for Trevor Lawrence as of late. You know, people are going to go back to Robinson. Matchup is great, but let's be honest here. That wasn't a big performance like we all thought he was going to have. So I have no problem fading Robinson in this game.
Geoff, to you.
I mean, it's kind of a similar situation here. Like, I think Steve is right. Like, Robinson is probably going to he's probably locked in for like 14 to 20 points just because it's the Jets. The Jets allowed Duke Johnson to go for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. But it's really hard to put into words how bad the Jacksonville offense is. And really, like, how bad kind of James Robinson has looked just as a player over the last few weeks, too. I know he's a solid running back, but sometimes, you know, these fantasy football circles, give James Robinson the ball, he's awesome. He's really not that good.
Whoa.
And I think there's just, I think it boils down to the fact there's a lot of pivot plays this week. You know, you can go down to Miles Sanders, you can go up to Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs is there. I just feel like upside-wise, I don't know if this spot is quite as good as people think, just because it's the Jags offense. Is he a cash game must? Yes, play James Robinson if you're playing cash games. I don't know who plays cash games these days, but some people probably do. Robinson is a good value, but I don't think he's like necessarily like a must play for big field GPPs.